Today we are going to help this student to do this exercise. Now, part A of the exercise, they want us to integrate x. We open up the brackets, x minus 3, close the brackets, then we multiply with a dx. Now the first step, we are going to expand the what? The brackets. So we are going to say expand brackets, meaning that we shall have integral. I'm going to get this x, I multiply throughout the C bracket. So what is x times x? That is going to give us x squared. Then x times negative 3, that is negative 3x, everything multiplied with what? Dx. Now, after doing that, we are going to integrate each term separately. So, we are going to say integrate each term separately. Okay, so I'm going to say this is integral of x squared multiplied with dx, then minus integral of 3x multiplied with dx. So we are going to use the power rule. Remember, we said that if we have integral of x raised to power n multiplied with dx, the result is we increase the power on x by 1. So we shall have x n plus 1. Then afterwards, we are going to divide with the new power. So that is n plus a 1. Then after doing all that, we are going to add a constant of integration. So for x squared, we are going to increase the power on x by 1, and that is 2 plus a 1. Then we divide by a 2 plus a 1. Then we are going to reduce. When we integrate 3x, we shall get 3x. Remember, the power on x is 1, so we are going to increase it by 1. Then we divide by the same what? Power. Then we add a constant of integration. So we are going to simplify. Now I have x 2 plus 1, that is x raised to power 3, everything divided by a 3. Then minus 3x, 1 plus 1, that is a 2, out of 1 plus 1, that is a 2, then plus a constant of integration. That is part A. So let's do part B. Let us do part B together. Now, if I want to do part B, I'm going to begin by expanding the numerator, okay? So I'm going to get these 2, I multiply with the x to get 2x. Then I get 2 times negative 1 to get negative 2. Everything divided by x what? Cubed multiplied with what? With dx. Now, after doing that, I'm going to split the fraction. So to split the fraction, I'm going to say that this is integral. I'm going to get this 2x divided by x cubed. Then multiplied with dx. Then minus, we integrate. I'm going to get this 2 divided by x what? Cubed. Everything multiplied with what? Dx. Then after doing that, I'm going to simplify using indices. I know if I have x raised to power 1 out of x to power 3. Now, these are numbers of the same base. So I'm going to say that this is x to power 1 minus 3. So this one is going to give me x power negative what? 2. So here we are going to be left with integral x power negative 2 multiplied with x. So don't forget a 2 there. Then minus, this is integral 2x power negative 3, everything multiplied with what? Dx. Now, after doing that, I'm going to use the power rule. So, we are going to say that this is 2. We increase the power on x by 1. So, that is x power negative 2 plus 1. Then out of negative 2 plus a 1. Then minus, we are also going to increase the power on x by 1. And we divide by that new power. So, that is 2x negative 3 plus 1 out of negative 3 plus 1. Don't forget the constant of integration. So here we are going to be left with 2x negative 2 plus 1, that is a negative 1 out of negative 1. Then we shall have negative 2x negative 3 plus 1, that is a negative 2 out of a negative 2, then plus a constant of integration. So the final answer is going to be 2x, this one is a negative, power negative 1. Now negative 2 divided by negative 2, we are going to get a positive 1, then plus x power negative 2, then plus a constant of integration. I'm going to begin by rewriting in power form. But remember, if I have 1 out of root y, now according to indices, this is the same as saying y to power negative what? A half. Are we together? So I'm going to say that this is integral y, then plus y to power negative a half. Okay? Then we open up the brackets. We write y plus y to power negative 1, then multiplied with the what? A dy. Then after doing that, we are going to expand the brackets. So I'm going to say that this is integral. I get this y, I multiply throughout this bracket. So I'm going to get y times y, that is a y squared. Then y times y to power negative 1. I have y to power 1, then times y to power negative 1. Remember, according to indices, numbers of the same base, we shall add the what? The powers. But remember, 1 plus negative 1, that is y to power 0. And any number to power 0, we shall get the result as a 1. So I'm going to put a 1 there. Is that okay? Now, I'm done multiplying with this term. So I'm going to get this term, I multiply with that bracket. So we have y to power negative a half. It is going to be multiplied with y to power 1. Remember also by indices, we said if I have a number with the same base, then we are going to add the what? The powers. So we shall have y to power negative a half, then plus a 1. But I know very well that negative a half plus 1, that one will give me a y to power a half. So I'm going to say plus y to power a half. Then I'm going to get y to power negative a half multiplied with y to power negative 1. I'm going to use numbers of the same base, then I add the what? The powers. So I'll have y power negative a half, then plus negative 1. The moment I add, I'm going to get y to power negative 3 out of a 2. So that is plus y to power negative 3 out of a 2. Don't forget to multiply with a dy. Now, after expanding the brackets, now we are going to integrate term by term. Is that okay? So, if I integrate y squared, I'm going to increase the power on y. So that is y 2 plus a 1. Then we divide by the new power. Now here we have a 1. But now the question is, what is a 1 according to algebra? According to algebra, 1 is the same as saying y to power what? A 0. Because any number to power 0, it is always equal to a 1. So I'm going to say that that is plus y to power 0 plus 1 out of 0 plus 1. Then plus, I'm going to also integrate this term. So that is y to power a half. We increase it by 1. Then we divide by the new power. Are we together? Then finally, we are going to integrate this. So that is y to power negative 3 out of 2. Then plus a 1. Then afterwards, we are going to have negative 3 out of 2. Then plus 1. Don't forget to add the constant of integration. So we shall have y to power 3 out of a 3, then plus a y, then plus, if I get a half plus 1, that is y 3 out of 2, then out of 3 out of a 2, then plus, what is negative 3 out of 2 plus a 1? So that is a 2 out of a 2, meaning that we shall get negative 3 plus 2 out of a 2, which is negative a half. So we shall have y to power negative a half out of negative a half, then plus a constant of integration. Thank you for watching.